Hitler's escape theories. Did the Führer flee the bunker? Welcome, dear listeners, to the first chapter of our series, Unsolved Mysteries of World War II. Tonight, we delve into one of the most controversial and enduring enigmas of the 20th century, the fate of Adolf Hitler. As the Allied forces closed in on Berlin in April 1945, the Nazi leader was said to have taken his own life in his underground bunker, but whispers of escape have persisted for decades. Did Hitler really die in that bunker, or did he flee to a secret hideout in South America or beyond? What evidence supports these theories, and why do they continue to captivate the world? Join me as we unravel a web of deception, eyewitness accounts, and historical intrigue that challenges everything we thought we knew about the end of the Third Reich. The final days in the bunker. Our story begins in the chaotic closing days of World War II, as the Soviet Red Army encircled Berlin. Adolf Hitler, the once unstoppable Führer, had retreated to his underground bunker beneath the Reich Chancellery, a concrete labyrinth designed to withstand the relentless bombing. By April 1945, the city above was a ruin, buildings crumbled, streets filled with rubble, and the air thick with smoke and despair. Hitler, now a shadow of his former self, plagued by Parkinson's disease and paranoia, surrounded himself with loyalists like Eva Braun, Joseph Goebbels, and Martin Bormann. On April 29th, Hitler learned of Heinrich Himmler's attempt to negotiate surrender with the Allies, a betrayal that sealed his resolve. The next day, April 30th, witnesses reported hearing a gunshot from Hitler's private quarters. His valet, Heinz Linge, and Bormann entered to find Hitler and Braun dead, Hitler from a self-inflicted gunshot, Braun from cyanide. Their bodies were wrapped in blankets, doused with gasoline, and burned in the Chancellery Garden amid Soviet shelling. But was this the end, or an elaborate ruse? Eyewitness accounts varied. Some saw the bodies, others only smoke. The Soviets, arriving soon after, found charred remains, but identification was hasty. Stalin himself fueled doubt, claiming Hitler escaped to Spain or Argentina. Why the confusion? Was it Soviet propaganda or something more? The official verdict and initial doubts. The Allies launched investigations to confirm Hitler's death. In May 1945, British intelligence interrogated bunker survivors, concluding suicide. The Soviets autopsied remains, identifying Hitler by his dental records. His bridge work matched X-rays. But discrepancies emerged. The body had only one testicle, matching rumors about Hitler, but fuel for conspiracy. In 1946, the Soviets buried the remains in Magdeburg, then in 1970, exhumed and cremated them, scattering ashes in the Biederitz River to prevent a shrine. Despite this, doubts persisted. In 1945, U.S. intelligence reported Hitler sightings in Colombia and Switzerland. FBI files, declassified in 2014, show Hoover investigated loss of Hitler in Argentina until 1955. Why the persistence? Perhaps to justify continued Nazi hunts, or because evidence was inconclusive. A 2009 DNA test on a skull fragment in Moscow, thought to be Hitler's, revealed it belonged to a woman under 40. The Russians claimed it wasn't from the jawbone used for identification, but the revelation reignited theories. If the skull isn't Hitler's, where is his body? And if he escaped, how? Escape routes and secret plans. Theories of Hitler's escape center on Operation Paperclip and rat lines, networks used by Nazis to flee Europe. High-ranking officials like Adolf Eichmann escaped to Argentina via Vatican and Red Cross passports. Did Hitler use a similar route? One theory claims he fled Berlin by plane on April 29th, landing in Denmark, then submarine to Argentina. Declassified CIA files mention a 1955 report of Hitler in Colombia and a 1945 sighting in Argentina. Simon Dunstan and Gerard Williams's book Grey Wolf, 2011, claims Hitler lived in Patagonia until 1962, supported by photos and eyewitnesses. But historians dismiss it as fiction, citing lack of evidence and Hitler's poor health. A French team's 2018 examination of teeth in Moscow confirmed they were Hitler's, matching dental records, seemingly debunking escape theories. But skeptics question the remains' chain of custody. If Hitler died, why the persistent rumors, Soviet disinformation to keep the West off balance? Another theory involves body doubles. Hitler allegedly had lookalikes. Perhaps one died in the bunker while he escaped. Witnesses' conflicting accounts support this. Some saw Hitler alive after the suicide. But dental records match, complicating this. The escape's logistics are daunting. Berlin was surrounded, airspace controlled. Yet Hannah Reich flew out on April 28th. Could Hitler have done the same? U-boats evacuated Nazis to South America. Perhaps one carried him. Declassified FBI files show investigations into these claims, but no proof. These theories keep the mystery alive, a reminder that history's darkest chapters may hold hidden truths. The allure of the conspiracy, the Hitler escape theory's appeal, lies in their challenge to official history. If Hitler survived, it undermines the Allies' victory narrative. Books like Hitler in Argentina by Harry Cooper detail alleged sightings, including a 1945 FBI report of Hitler in a Colombian monastery. But these are unverified, often based on hearsay. Documentaries and films, like The Boys from Brazil, explore clones or survivors, fueling speculation. In 2018, a CIA file revealed a 1955 photo of a man resembling Hitler in Tunisia, but it was debunked. Soviet motives add intrigue, as Stalin may have spread rumors to justify occupation or create paranoia. A 1945 Soviet report claimed Hitler escaped, but later retracted. The mystery endures because Hitler's evil makes his escape unthinkable. Justice demands his death. But without a body, doubt lingers. As we reflect on this enigma, we are left with the thrill of the unsolved, a testament to the power of mystery to endure. Hitler's escape theories invite us to keep searching, to keep questioning, and to keep vigilant against the shadows of the past. The enigma of Hitler's fate endures, a story that challenges us to confront the unknown and to seek the light in the darkness of history. The Amber Room's vanishing, the hunt for Russia's lost masterpiece. As the chaos of World War II engulfed Europe, the Amber Room, Russia's priceless treasure of glowing panels, gold leaf, and mirrors, fell into Nazi hands, looted from the Catherine Palace, and spirited away to Germany. But as the Allies closed in, this eighth wonder of the world vanished without a trace, leaving behind one of history's most tantalizing mysteries. Was it destroyed in the firebombing of Königsberg, hidden in a secret Nazi bunker, or smuggled away to a distant land? And why, after decades of searches, does it remain lost? Let us continue our journey through the shadows of war to uncover the enigma of a treasure that may still be waiting to be found. The theft and the Nazi obsession. The Amber Room's wartime saga began in June 1941 when Nazi Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union. As German forces advanced toward Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, the Catherine Palace, home to the Amber Room, was in peril. Soviet curators tried to dismantle the fragile panels, but time was short. They covered them with wallpaper and gauze, hoping to disguise their value. But the Nazis were not fooled. Under the direction of Alfred Rosenberg, head of the ERR, Einsatzstab Reichsleiter Rosenberg, the room was carefully disassembled in October 1941 and packed into 27 crates. Rosenberg, a fanatic for Aryan art, saw the Amber Room as a Germanic treasure stolen by Russia. The crates were transported to Königsberg, now Kaliningrad, then part of East Prussia, and reassembled in the Königsberg Castle Museum. For 3 years, it was displayed as a symbol of Nazi triumph, drawing visitors who marveled at its beauty. But as the war turned against Germany in 1944, the Amber Room's fate hung in the balance. With Soviet forces approaching, the Nazis dismantled it again in January 1945, packing it into crates for evacuation. What happened next is where the mystery deepens. Did the crates make it out of the city? Were they destroyed in the intense bombing that reduced Königsberg to rubble? Or were they hidden in a secret location, waiting for the Reich's revival? Eyewitness accounts conflict. Some museum staff claimed the crates were loaded onto trucks and driven south. Others said they were placed on the ship Wilhelm Gustloff, which sank in the Baltic Sea with over 9,000 lives lost, the worst maritime disaster in history. If the Amber Room was aboard, it now lies at the bottom of the sea, a treasure claimed by the depths. The post-war search begins. As the war ended in 1945, the hunt for the Amber Room began. The Soviets, eager to reclaim their cultural heritage, formed a special commission to search Königsberg. They interrogated former Nazi officials and museum workers, but answers were vague. One curator claimed the room was burned in the castle fire. Another said it was hidden in a salt mine. The Soviets excavated the castle ruins, but found only charred fragments, pieces of mosaic and amber that hinted at destruction. But doubts lingered. In 1946, a Soviet intelligence officer reported finding a witness who saw the crates loaded onto a train bound for Czechoslovakia. Searches there yielded nothing. In the 1950s, East German Stasi agents pursued leads, believing the room was hidden in Thuringia. They dug up gardens and explored mines, but to no avail. The mystery took a bizarre turn in 1997 when German police raided an apartment and recovered a piece of the Amber Room, a small mosaic panel. The seller was the son of a former Wehrmacht officer who had found it in Königsberg. This fragment, returned to Russia, proved parts survived, reigniting hope. In 2000, another piece, a stone mosaic, was found in a private collection. But these were small fragments, and the bulk remained lost. Conspiracies abound. Some believe the Nazis smuggled it to South America via ratlines, hidden with other looted art. Others claim it's in a Swiss bank vault or buried in the Ore Mountains. A persistent theory points to the bottom of Lake Toplitz in Austria, where Nazis sank crates of gold. Dives have recovered counterfeit money, but no amber. In 2016, Polish divers explored a train in a tunnel near Wałbrzych, thought to contain Nazi gold and perhaps the Amber Room, but it was a false lead. The Russian government reconstructed the room in 2003 for the 300th anniversary of St. Petersburg, using old photos and surviving fragments. The new Amber Room in the Catherine Palace is a stunning replica, but the original's fate remains unknown. Is it destroyed or waiting to be found? Theories of destruction and survival. Theories about the Amber Room's fate fall into two camps: destruction or survival. The destruction theory holds that it was obliterated in the firebombing of Königsberg in April 1945. The castle was heavily damaged, and witnesses reported seeing the room's crates in the basement where they may have burned. A 1945 Soviet report described finding charred amber fragments, supporting this. But the survival theory is more alluring. Some believe the Nazis hid it in a bunker or mine. In 1944, as the Soviets approached, Erich Koch, Gauleiter of East Prussia, allegedly oversaw its concealment. Koch, captured in 1949, was interrogated but revealed nothing before his execution in 1986. A letter from a former SS officer in 1960 claimed the room was in a bunker near Kaliningrad, but searches found empty chambers. Another theory suggests it's in the Czech Republic, hidden in a salt mine like other Nazi loot. In 2017, treasure hunters explored a tunnel system but found nothing. Amber's fragility, its organic resin, makes survival unlikely if exposed to fire or water, but if crated properly, it could endure. The Amber Room's mystery is a reminder that history is full of lost wonders, their fates tangled in war's chaos. It invites us to ponder the cost of conflict and the enduring allure of beauty. The enigma of the Amber Room endures, a story that challenges us to keep searching, to keep questioning, and to keep dreaming of what lies hidden in the shadows of the past. Yamashita's Gold, the Phantom Treasure of the Pacific. In the previous chapter, we explored the enigma of the Philadelphia experiment, a tale of invisible ships and lost time that continues to baffle historians and scientists alike. Now, we turn our attention to another World War II mystery, one that involves hidden riches, wartime plunder, and a treasure hunt that has claimed lives and fortunes. This is the story of Yamashita's Gold, a legendary hoard of looted wealth that's said to be buried in the Philippines by Japanese General Tomoyuki Yamashita as the war drew to a close. Valued at billions in today's dollars, this treasure has inspired countless expeditions, but remains elusive. But what is the truth behind this fabled fortune? Was it ever real, or a myth born of desperation? And why do searchers continue to risk everything in pursuit of it? Let us delve deeper into this enigma, where greed, war, and mystery intertwine. The General and His Golden Legacy. General Tomoyuki Yamashita, known as the Tiger of Malaya for his swift conquest of British forces in 1942, was one of Japan's most brilliant commanders. But as the tide of war turned against Japan in 1944, Yamashita was sent to the Philippines to organize a last-ditch defense. It was during this time that the legend of his gold was born. According to the tale, as Allied forces advanced, Japanese troops looted vast quantities of gold, jewels, and artifacts from conquered territories across Asia. This plunder, codenamed Golden Lily after Emperor Hirohito's flower, was allegedly shipped to the Philippines for safekeeping. Yamashita, overseeing the operation, ordered the treasure buried in over 175 sites, caves, tunnels, and underground vaults, booby-trapped with explosives to deter thieves. The value? Estimates range from 200 billion to trillions, including Buddhist statues, platinum, and diamonds. But the legend's roots go deeper. Some say the gold was amassed from ancient temples, royal palaces, and banks in China, Indonesia, and beyond. Yamashita's men, facing defeat, hid it to fund a post-war recovery or personal gain. After Japan's surrender in 1945, Yamashita was tried for war crimes, including the Manila Massacre, and executed in 1946. He took the secret to his grave. Or did he? Witnesses claimed he revealed locations under torture, but nothing was found. Was the gold a myth or a cleverly concealed reality? To the post-war hunt and hidden clues. With the war's end, rumors of Yamashita's gold spread like wildfire. Allied intelligence, aware of Japanese looting, launched searches. In 1945, U.S. forces discovered some caches in the Philippines, gold bars and caves, but the bulk remained hidden. Ferdinand Marcos, the future Philippine president, allegedly found part of the treasure in the 1970s, using it to amass his family's wealth. Marcos claimed to have recovered gold certificates and bullion, but his stories were dismissed as propaganda. After his ouster in 1986, the Philippine government seized assets, but no definitive link to Yamashita's gold was proven. Treasure hunters flocked to the Philippines, armed with maps said to be from Japanese veterans. In 1971, Rogelio Roxas claimed to find a golden Buddha statue filled with diamonds in a tunnel near Baguio. But Marcos seized it, and Roxas was imprisoned. Roxas sued, winning a $22 billion judgment in 1996, but the money was never paid. Roxas died in 1993, but his family continues the fight. Was the Buddha part of Yamashita's hoard or a separate treasure? Clues have emerged over the years. In 1988, a Japanese veteran provided a map leading to a site in Luzon, where diggers found bones but no gold. In 2001, a U.S. team using ground-penetrating radar detected anomalies in Mindanao, but excavations were halted by local conflicts. The Philippine government has investigated, but corruption and danger deter progress. Theories abound. Some believe the gold was never hidden but smuggled to Japan or Switzerland. Others say it's cursed, claiming lives of searchers through accidents or illness. In 1995, a tunnel collapse killed 10 diggers in Nueva Ecija. These incidents add to the allure, a treasure protected by more than traps. Conspiracies and cover-ups. The Yamashita's gold mystery is rife with conspiracies. One theory involves the U.S. government. In the 1940s, General Douglas MacArthur allegedly recovered part of the gold to fund anti-communist operations, including the CIA's covert activities. The Santa Romana account claims Filipino-American intelligence officer Severino Santa Romana found billions in gold, which was used to create a black budget for U.S. intelligence. Declassified documents hint at recovered assets, but nothing conclusive. Another theory ties it to the Japanese imperial family. Golden Lily was said to be overseen by Prince Chichibu, Hirohito's brother. The gold, looted from Asia, was to rebuild Japan post-war. Some believe it's hidden in the Philippines, guarded by Yakuza or secret societies. In 2017, a Filipino court ordered the government to search for the gold based on a map from a Japanese descendant, but nothing was found. The Marcos connection adds intrigue. Imelda Marcos claimed her husband's wealth came from Yamashita's gold, discovered using coded maps. The PCGG, Presidential Commission on Good Government, investigated but found no proof. The Marcoses' $10 billion fortune remains unexplained, fueling speculation. These theories keep the hunt alive, a blend of history, greed, and myth that draws adventurers to the Philippines' jungles. The human cost and enduring allure, the search for Yamashita's gold, has claimed over 100 lives, cave-ins, diseases, and violence from rival hunters or locals. In 2007, a family in General Santos City found gold but was murdered shortly after. The treasure's curse, some say, protects it, dooming those who seek it. Despite the dangers, the allure persists. In 2022, A team using drones and LIDAR mapped potential sites in Luzon, finding anomalies but no gold. The Philippine government occasionally grants permits, but bureaucracy and environmental concerns hinder progress. The legend has inspired books like Gold Warriors by Sterling and Peggy Seagrave, claiming the gold funded post war Japanese politics and U.S. covert ops. Films and TV shows dramatize the hunt, turning it into a modern El Dorado. But the real mystery is whether the gold exists. Some historians believe it's exaggerated, the product of wartime rumors and post war greed. Japanese records show looting, but not on the scale claimed. Perhaps Yamashita's gold is a metaphor for lost opportunities and the human cost of war. As we reflect on this enigma, we are left with the thrill of the unsolved, a testament to the power of mystery to endure. Yamashita's gold invites us to ponder the cost of greed and the secrets that lie buried, waiting for those brave enough to dig. The enigma of Yamashita's gold endures, a story that challenges us to confront the unknown and to seek the light in the darkness of history. The Philadelphia Experiment, The Invisible Ship, and Lost Time. Imagine a foggy October day in 1943 at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, where the destroyer escort USS Eldridge is moored, its crew aboard for what they believe is a routine test. Suddenly, a green haze envelops the ship, and in a flash of light, it vanishes from sight, only to reappear moments later with horrifying consequences. Crew members fused into the deck, driven mad or lost in time. This is the legend of the Philadelphia Experiment, a tale of secret, wartime science gone awry, blending fact, fiction, and the fog of conspiracy. But what really happened on that fateful day? Was it a daring attempt to make ships invisible to radar, or a hoax that grew out of control? And why do eyewitness accounts and declassified documents continue to fuel the debate? Let us journey back to the shadows of World War II to uncover an enigma that blurs the line between technology and terror. The birth of a legend. The story of the Philadelphia Experiment first surfaced in the 1930s when a man named Carl Allen, also known as Carlos Allende, sent a series of letters to astronomer Morris K. Jessup, author of The Case for the UFO. Allen claimed to have witnessed a secret Navy experiment in 1943 that made the USS Eldridge invisible, but with catastrophic side effects. According to Allen, the ship not only vanished from Philadelphia but teleported to Norfolk, Virginia, 200 miles away, before returning. Crew members were disoriented, some merged with the ship's structure, others burst into flames or faded in and out of visibility. Allen described the experiment as Project Rainbow, using unified field theory, Albert Einstein's work on combining gravity and electromagnetism, to bend light around the ship, rendering it invisible. The Navy, desperate to protect convoys from U-boats, allegedly tested it on the Eldridge. But the test went wrong, creating a time warp that drove men insane. Allen said he watched from the SS Andrew Führer, but his letters were rambling, annotated with odd underlines and capitals, raising doubts about his sanity. Jessup was intrigued but skeptical. He forwarded the letters to the Office of Naval Research, ONR, which annotated a copy of his book with Allen's notes and sent it back. This Varro edition became a cornerstone of the legend, circulating among UFO enthusiasts. But was Allen telling the truth or spinning a yarn? His background was shady, a drifter with a history of mental illness. Yet his details were specific, naming scientists like Einstein and John von Neumann. Could there be a kernel of truth? The alleged experiment and its horrors. According to the legend, the Philadelphia experiment occurred on October 28, 1943. The Eldridge was fitted with massive degaussing coils, devices to make ships invisible to magnetic mines, but repurposed for optical invisibility. Generators created a powerful electromagnetic field, enveloping the ship in green fog. Witnesses ashore saw it vanish, leaving a depression in the water. When it reappeared, crew members were in agony, some embedded in metal, others on fire or invisible. Survivors allegedly suffered freezing in place or fading out, reappearing disoriented. The Navy, horrified, scrapped the project, but not before a second test teleported the ship to Norfolk, where it was seen by the USS Andrew Führer's crew. Upon return, the horrors intensified. Men phased through walls or burst into flames. The project was covered up, records destroyed, and survivors sworn to secrecy or institutionalized. But declassified Navy documents mention no such experiment. The Eldridge's logs show routine duties in 1943, escorting convoys. Crew members denied involvement, calling it a hoax. Yet anomalies persist, logs have gaps, and some veterans recalled strange tests. A 1943 Navy report mentions degaussing but nothing about invisibility. Was it a misremembered degaussing test, exaggerated into legend? The men behind the myth. The Philadelphia experiment's cast adds intrigue. Morris Jessup, the UFO author, received Allen's letters in 1956. Jessup investigated but grew paranoid, believing government agents watched him. In 1959, he died by suicide, his car filled with exhaust. Some claim murder to silence him. Carl Allen, or Carlos Allende, was a con artist with multiple aliases. His letters were eccentric, but he knew naval terms. In 1977, he confessed to hoaxing Jessup, but later recanted. Was he a disinformation agent or mentally unstable? The ONR's involvement is curious. They printed the annotated book, but claimed it was a prank. A 1980s Navy veteran said the experiment was real but failed, causing casualties, but no corroboration exists. Theories link it to Einstein's unified field theory. Einstein consulted for the Navy in 1943 on unrelated projects. Von Neumann's work on computers is cited, but no connection to invisibility. These links seem fabricated to lend credibility. The legend grew with books like The Philadelphia Experiment by Charles Berlitz and William Moore in 1979, blending Allen's letters with fiction. It inspired the 1984 film The Philadelphia Experiment, where the ship time travels to 1984. But is there truth amid the myth, modern investigations, and revelations? In the 1990s, the Navy declassified files on degaussing, showing tests to make ships invisible to magnetic mines, but not optically. The Eldridge was degaussed, but crew recalls no unusual effects. A 1994 reunion of Eldridge veterans denounced the story as hoax, but anomalies persist. The Eldridge's logs from October 1943 are missing from Navy archives, fueling suspicion. In 1999, a former sailor claimed a green haze during a test, but no disappearance. Skeptics say it's confabulation. Scientific analysis debunks the legend. Unified field theory remains unproven, and invisibility requires advanced metamaterials. Impossible in 1943. Teleportation defies physics. The story likely originated from degaussing rumors, exaggerated by Allen's imagination. Yet the mystery endures. In 2018, a diver claimed to find the Eldridge's wreck off Philadelphia, but it was a different ship. The Philadelphia experiment reminds us how myths are born from half truths, a cautionary tale of wartime secrecy. The enigma of the Philadelphia experiment invites reflection on the boundaries of science and the power of legend. It challenges us to separate fact from fiction and to wonder what other secrets lie hidden in the annals of history. The mystery of the Philadelphia experiment endures, a story that blurs the line between technology and terror, inviting us to keep searching for the truth in the shadows of the past. Raoul Wallenberg's Disappearance, the diplomat who vanished in Budapest. Imagine a city in the grip of war, where the streets echo with the cries of the persecuted and the roar of artillery. This is Budapest in 1944, a place where one man's courage saved tens of thousands from the horrors of the Holocaust. Raoul Wallenberg, a Swedish diplomat, arrived in Hungary with a mission to protect Jews from Nazi deportation. Using his wits, protective passports, and sheer audacity, he became a beacon of hope in a time of darkness. But as the war drew to a close and Soviet forces liberated the city, Wallenberg himself disappeared, swallowed by the shadows of the Iron Curtain. What happened to this heroic figure? Was he a victim of Soviet paranoia, or is there a more sinister explanation? And why, after decades of inquiries, does his fate remain one of World War II's most enduring enigmas? Let us journey back to a time of heroes and horrors, to uncover a mystery that has puzzled historians and inspired searches for over 75 years. A man of privilege and purpose. Raoul Gustav Wallenberg was born on August 4th, 1912, into one of Sweden's wealthiest families. His father died 3 months before his birth, leaving him to be raised by his mother and grandfather, Gustav Wallenberg, a diplomat who instilled in him a sense of global responsibility. Raoul studied architecture at the University of Michigan in the 1930s, where he witnessed America's racial inequalities, shaping his views on justice. Returning to Sweden, Wallenberg entered business, working in international trade. But as World War II raged and reports of Nazi atrocities emerged, he felt compelled to act. In 1944, the U.S. War Refugee Board, with Swedish cooperation, recruited him to go to Budapest. Hungary, under Regent Miklos Horthy, had protected its Jewish population until March 1944, when Germany occupied the country and installed a pro-Nazi government. Deportations to Auschwitz began, with over 400,000 Jews sent to their deaths by July. Wallenberg arrived in Budapest on July 9, 1944, as first secretary at the Swedish legation. His mission: save as many Jews as possible. Armed with diplomatic status and funds from the War Refugee Board, he set to work. The hero of Budapest, Wallenberg's methods were innovative and bold. He designed protective passports, Schutzpass, declaring bearers under Swedish protection. These documents, though not legally binding, intimidated Hungarian authorities and Nazis. He issued thousands, saving countless lives. When deportations resumed in October 1944 under the Arrow Cross regime, Wallenberg ramped up efforts. He rented buildings under Swedish diplomatic protection, housing over 10,000 Jews in Swedish houses. He bribed officials, confronted Nazi officers like Adolf Eichmann, and even climbed onto deportation trains, handing out passports and pulling people off. One famous incident occurred in November 1944, when Wallenberg learned of a death march of 70,000 Jews to the Austrian border. He drove along the route, distributing food, medicine, and passports, saving thousands. His actions earned him the nickname the Swedish Schindler, though he disliked comparisons. By war's end, Wallenberg had saved an estimated 100,000 Jews. But as Soviet forces approached Budapest in January 1945, his fate took a tragic turn. The mysterious disappearance. On January 17, 1945, Wallenberg met with Soviet commanders to discuss protecting his charges and restoring order. He left the Swedish legation in a car with a Soviet escort and was never seen again. Initial reports said he was under Soviet protection, but he vanished into the Gulag system. The Soviets denied knowledge, but in 1947, they admitted arresting him as a spy. Wallenberg's diplomatic actions, including contacts with anti-Nazi groups, may have aroused suspicion. Some believe he was mistaken for a spy due to his American funding. For decades, the Soviets claimed he died of a heart attack in Lubyanka prison on July 17, 1947. But witnesses reported seeing him alive in prisons into the 1950s and 1960s. In 1957, a Swedish diplomat met a prisoner who claimed Wallenberg was in a Siberian camp. In 1979, a former KGB agent said he was executed in 1947. Declassified documents in the 1990s revealed more. A 1956 memo from KGB chief Ivan Serov admitted Wallenberg was imprisoned and liquidated in 1947, but no proof. In 2016, diaries of KGB head Viktor Abakumov mentioned Wallenberg, but details were redacted. Theories abound. Some believe the Soviets suspected him of spying for the US or Nazis. Others suggest he was held as leverage in Cold War negotiations. A chilling theory is that he was killed to cover up Soviet complicity in the Holocaust or wartime atrocities. Wallenberg's family and Sweden campaigned tirelessly for answers. In 1957, the UN called for an investigation, but the Soviets refused. In 2001, a joint Swedish-Russian commission concluded he likely died in 1947, but the family rejected it due to lack of evidence. In 2016, Sweden declared him dead as of July 31, 1952, for legal reasons, but the mystery persists. The legacy of a hero. Wallenberg's actions saved tens of thousands, earning him honors like Righteous Among the Nations from Yad Vashem in 1963. The U.S. Congress made him an honorary citizen in 1981, only the second after Winston Churchill. Memorials worldwide commemorate him, and the Raoul Wallenberg Award recognizes humanitarian efforts. But his disappearance casts a shadow. The lack of closure fuels speculation. Did he die in prison or live out his days in anonymity? In 2012, a Russian archive revealed a document mentioning a prisoner numbered Stilsvans, interrogated in 1947, possibly Wallenberg's. But no body or grave has been found. The mystery of Raoul Wallenberg is a reminder of war's human cost and the enigmas it leaves behind. It challenges us to seek truth amid deception and to honor those who sacrifice for others. The enigma of Raoul Wallenberg's disappearance endures, a story that inspires us to remember the heroes who vanish into the night, their legacies shining brighter in their absence. The fate of Flight 19, the Bermuda Triangle's first victims. Imagine a squadron of 5 U.S. Navy bombers soaring over the vast Atlantic, their engines roaring against the wind as they embark on a routine training mission. This is December 5th, 1945, and Flight 19, led by experienced pilot Lieutenant Charles Taylor, takes off from Naval Air Station, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, into a clear sky. But as the hours tick by, radio transmissions grow frantic, compasses spin wildly, and the planes vanish without a trace, a disappearance that would become the cornerstone of the Bermuda Triangle legend. Flight 19's fate has puzzled investigators for decades, spawning theories of magnetic anomalies, alien abductions, and government cover-ups. What really happened to those 14 men? Did they fall victim to a natural phenomenon, human error, or something more otherworldly? And why, after extensive searches, was no wreckage ever found? Let us journey back to the closing days of World War II to uncover an enigma that has haunted aviators and mystery enthusiasts alike. A routine mission turns deadly. Our tale begins on a crisp afternoon in Fort Lauderdale, where the war had just ended and the Navy was shifting focus to peacetime training. Flight 19 consisted of 5 Grumman TBM Avenger torpedo bombers, each carrying 3 crew members except Taylor's, which had 2. The mission was Navigation Problem Number 1, a standard exercise involving a triangular flight path, east to the Bahamas for bombing practice, then north and back west to base. Taylor, with over 2,500 flight hours, led the group, including trainees eager to hone their skills. The planes took off at 2:10 p.m., the weather fair with scattered clouds. They completed the bombing run without incident, but as they turned north, trouble began. At 3:45 p.m., Taylor radioed that his compasses were malfunctioning. "Both my compasses are out. I'm trying to find Fort Lauderdale." Confusion set in. The trainees reported seeing land to the west, but Taylor insisted they were over the Florida Keys, disoriented after a supposed wrong turn. "We seem to be off course," he transmitted. "I don't know where we are." As fuel dwindled, panic rose. Taylor handed leadership to a trainee, but regained it, leading them east, away from land. Transmissions grew desperate. "We can't tell where we are. Everything is wrong. Strange. We can't be sure of any direction. Even the ocean doesn't look as it should." At 5:50 p.m., Taylor's last words: "We'll fly west until we hit the beach or run out of gas." Then silence. Back at base, alarm spread. A PBM Mariner flying boat with 13 crew was dispatched for search, but exploded midair, adding 13 more to the lost. The Navy launched a massive search, 240 planes, 67 ships, covering 380,000 square miles, but found nothing. No wreckage, no bodies, no oil slicks. Flight 19 had vanished. The Bermuda Triangle connection. Flight 19's disappearance became the cornerstone of the Bermuda Triangle myth, a 500,000 square mile area between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico where ships and planes vanish. Coined by Vincent Gaddis in 1964, the Triangle's legend grew with Charles Berlitz's 1974 book, The Bermuda Triangle, linking Flight 19 to supernatural forces. The official Navy report cited pilot error, Taylor's disorientation, mistaking the Bahamas for the Keys due to similar landscapes. Strong winds pushed them off course, and low fuel led to ditching at sea. But the report noted unusual circumstances. Calm seas should have left wreckage, but none was found. Taylor's compasses failing simultaneously was odd, as was his confusion. He had flown the route before. Theories exploded. Some blame magnetic anomalies. The triangle's magnetism interferes with compasses. The agonic line, where magnetic north aligns with true north, passes through potentially confusing navigation. Others cite methane gas eruptions from the seabed, creating bubbles that sink ships or disrupt planes. But no gas event was reported that day. More exotic ideas involve time warps or portals. Flight 19's leader reported whitewater and strange ocean, suggesting a dimensional shift. UFO enthusiasts claim alien abductions, with sightings reported near the area. A 1945 radio transmission, possibly from Taylor, said, "Don't come after me." They look like they're from outer space, but it's unverified. Government cover up theories suggest a secret experiment gone wrong, like the Philadelphia experiment teleporting the planes. But no evidence supports this. Human error remains the official conclusion, but the lack of wreckage keeps the mystery alive. Searches and speculations. The Navy's search was exhaustive, but fruitless. In 1986, a private team found Avenger wreckage off Florida, but serial numbers didn't match Flight 19. In 1991, deep sea explorers discovered 5 Avengers in 750 feet of water, but they were from different flights dumped after training. The Flight 19 found headline was premature. In 2010, a Bermuda Triangle documentary re examined the case, suggesting Taylor's compass failure was due to a magnetic storm, but no storm was recorded. A 2015 History Channel show proposed they ran out of fuel over the Gulf of Mexico, but this contradicts radio fixes. The Bermuda Triangle's other vanishings, USS Cyclops in 1918, Marine Sulphur Queen in 1963, add to the myth, but statistics show no higher disappearance rate than other busy areas. Lloyd's of London reports normal losses, yet the legend persists, a testament to our love for mystery. Flight 19's disappearance reminds us that the sea is vast and unforgiving, capable of swallowing secrets whole. It invites speculation about forces beyond our understanding, whether natural or supernatural. The enigma of Flight 19 endures, a story that challenges us to confront the unknown and to seek the light in the darkness of history. The mystery of Flight 19 invites us to keep searching, to keep questioning, and to keep marveling at the wonders and terrors of the past. Die Glocke, the Nazi bell and its shadowy secrets. Imagine a secret underground facility in Nazi-occupied Poland, where the air hums with the whir of strange machinery and the glow of otherworldly energy. This is the legend of Die Glocke, the bell, a mysterious device said to have been developed by the Third Reich in the final desperate days of World War II. Shaped like a massive bell, it was rumored to defy gravity, manipulate time, or even harness the power of the atom in ways that science still struggles to comprehend. But was Die Glocke a real superweapon, a product of mad science, or merely a myth born from the chaos of war? What happened to it as the Allies closed in? And why do tales of its existence continue to surface, hinting at hidden Nazi technology that could change the world? Let us journey back to the dark heart of the Third Reich to uncover an enigma that blurs the line between history and horror. The desperate quest for wonder weapons. Our tale begins in the waning years of World War II, as the Nazi regime, facing defeat on all fronts, turned to increasingly desperate measures. Adolf Hitler and his inner circle, obsessed with wonder weapons that could turn the tide, poured resources into secret projects. From the V-2 rocket to jet fighters like the May-262, Nazi scientists pushed the boundaries of technology. But in the shadows of these known inventions lurked darker experiments, conducted in hidden facilities away from Allied bombing. Die Glocke, or the Bell, was allegedly one such project. According to post-war accounts from Polish intelligence and interrogated Nazi officials, it was developed in an underground complex near the Wenceslas mine in Ludwikowice Kłodzkie, in the Owl Mountains of Lower Silesia. The project was led by SS General Hans Kammler, a ruthless engineer who oversaw the V-2 program and concentration camp construction. Kamler assembled a team of scientists, including physicists Otto Habermohl and Rudolf Schriever, to work on this bell-shaped device. The bell was said to be about 12 feet tall and 9 feet wide, made from a hard metallic alloy. It contained two counter-rotating cylinders filled with a violet, mercury-like substance called Zerum 525, which glowed when activated. Powered by high-voltage electricity, it produced a humming sound in a pale blue light. But what was its purpose? Witnesses claimed it generated anti-gravity fields, allowing it to levitate or even create wormholes for time travel. Some said it was a propulsion system for UFO-like aircraft, explaining post-war sightings of Foo Fighters. Others believed it was a nuclear device or a tool for transmuting elements, turning mercury into gold. But these claims come from dubious sources: post-war interrogations under duress, anonymous letters, and books like Igor Witkowski's The Truth About the Wunderwaffe, 2000, which popularized the legend. Witkowski based his work on alleged Polish intelligence documents, but their authenticity is questioned. No concrete evidence, photos, blueprints, or the device itself has surfaced. Yet the mystery persists, fueled by the Nazis' real advanced weapons programs, like the America bomber and Die Glocke's alleged connection to them. The bell's alleged powers and tests. According to legend, Die Glocke was tested in a circular concrete structure called the Hinge, resembling a Stonehenge-like ring, where it was strapped down to prevent it from flying away. During experiments, it emitted radiation that killed plants, animals, and even scientists. 5 of the first 7 died from exposure, their bodies turning to jelly. Survivors suffered nosebleeds, sleep disorders, and metallic tastes. The bell's effects were bizarre. It created a chronotron field that slowed time or allowed glimpses into the past. Some claim it was part of Project Kronos, a time machine effort. Others say it was an anti-gravity engine for the Honebu flying saucers, Nazi UFOs said to have been developed in secret bases. These tales blend with SS occult interests, like the Ahnenerbe, which sought ancient artifacts for superweapons. But skepticism abounds. The Hinge is likely a cooling tower foundation for a power plant, not a test rig. Radiation stories resemble Chernobyl exaggerations. The bell's description matches no known Nazi project, and Kamler's involvement is unverified. He vanished in 1945, perhaps suiciding or escaping to Argentina. Yet declassified documents hint at advanced Nazi research. Operation Paperclip brought scientists like Werner von Braun to the U.S., but none mentioned Die Glocke. Was it too secret or non-existent? The mystery deepens with Kamler's fate. As the war ended, he oversaw evacuations of secret projects. Some believe he fled with the bell to a base in Antarctica or South America, where Nazi remnants continued work. This ties into UFO sightings in the 1940s, like Kenneth Arnold's 1947 flying saucers. Did Die Glocke inspire these, or is it post-war myth-making? Post-war searches and revelations. After Germany's defeat, Allied forces scoured for Nazi technology. Operation Paperclip recruited scientists, but no bell was mentioned. In the 1990s, Polish researcher Igor Witkowski claimed to have seen classified documents describing the bell shared with him by a contact. He said it was moved to a mine in Lower Silesia than to Norway or South America. Witkowski's book influenced Nick Cook's The Hunt for Zero Point, popularizing the legend. In 2000, a team explored the Wenceslas mine, finding concrete structures but no bell. In 2015, treasure hunters dug near the Czech border based on a Nazi gold train rumor, but found nothing. The area, riddled with tunnels from Project Reese, a Nazi megaproject, fuels speculation of hidden labs. Conspiracies link the bell to Die Glocke inspired modern tech, like stealth aircraft or anti gravity propulsion. Some claim the U.S. reverse engineered it at Area 51, explaining UFO sightings. But these lack evidence dismissed as pseudoscience. The bell's allure lies in its blend of fact and fiction. Nazis did experiment with advanced weapons, V-2 rockets, jet planes, even Foo Fighters as anti-aircraft devices. But Die Glocke seems a post-war invention, perhaps from exaggerated intelligence reports or Nazi mythology. As we reflect on this enigma, we are left with the thrill of the unsolved, a testament to the power of mystery to endure. Die Glocke invites us to ponder the boundaries of science and the darkness that can lurk in the pursuit of power. The mystery of Die Glocke endures, a story that challenges us to confront the unknown and to seek the light in the shadows of history. The Ghost Army's Deceptions, America's Invisible Warriors. Imagine a group of artists, sound engineers, and actors drafted into the U.S. Army during World War II, not to fight with guns, but with illusions. This is the story of the Ghost Army, a top-secret unit that used inflatable tanks, phony radio broadcasts, and elaborate ruses to deceive the Nazis, saving thousands of lives without firing a shot. Officially, the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, this band of 1,100 men created the illusion of 30,000 troops, misleading the enemy about Allied positions and intentions. But how did this ragtag group of creatives become masters of deception? What innovative weapons did they wield? And why, after the war, was their story buried in classified files for 50 years? Let us journey back to the battlefields of Europe to uncover a mystery that blends art, war, and ingenuity in ways that continue to astonish. The birth of the Ghost Army. Our tale begins in the dark days of 1943, as the Allies prepared for the invasion of Europe. The U.S. War Department, inspired by British deception tactics like Operation Bodyguard, sought to create a unit dedicated to misleading the enemy. Colonel Billy Harris and Major Ralph Ingersoll, drawing from civilian talent, assembled a team of artists, designers, and performers. Recruited from art schools and advertising agencies, these men were trained in the art of illusion at Fort Meade, Maryland. The Ghost Army's arsenal was unlike any other. They used inflatable rubber tanks, jeeps, and artillery, over 600 dummies that could be set up in hours to simulate entire divisions. Sound trucks broadcast recordings of troop movements, tank engines, and radio chatter, creating the auditory illusion of a large force. Camouflage experts painted fake insignias and staged phony convoys, while actors impersonated officers to spread disinformation in local towns. Their first mission was in England, practicing deceptions for D-Day. But it was in France, after the Normandy landings, that the Ghost Army proved its worth. In Operation Brest, they impersonated the 6th Armored Division, drawing German forces away from the real attack. Using 93 inflatable tanks and sound effects, they fooled reconnaissance planes and spies. The operation saved lives and hastened the Allied advance. But how did they achieve such realism? The inflatables were so detailed that from the air they looked real, complete with fake tracks pressed into the ground. As the war progressed, the Ghost Army executed 21 deceptions, often within miles of the front lines. In Operation Viersen, They simulated two divisions crossing the Rhine, using 600 inflatables and speakers blaring troop noises. The Germans shelled the fake positions, allowing the real crossing to succeed with minimal casualties. The unit's creativity knew no bounds. They even used special effects, like smoke to simulate campfires and laundry lines for authenticity. But danger was ever present. In one operation, a ghost army unit was attacked by German artillery, the inflatables popping like balloons. 2 men were killed, the only casualties the unit suffered. Their secrecy was paramount. Classified until 1996, their story was buried to protect tactics. Why the long silence? Perhaps to safeguard deception methods for future wars, or to hide the extent of psychological warfare. The artists who fooled the Nazis. The Ghost Army's strength lay in its personnel, painters like Bill Blass, who later became a fashion icon, and Ellsworth Kelly, a renowned artist. These men used their skills to create realistic dummies and stage elaborate ruses. Sound engineers from Bell Labs recorded authentic military noises, played back through massive speakers. Radio operators mimicked division chatter, using scripts to deceive German intelligence. One memorable deception was Operation Elephant in 1944, where the Ghost Army impersonated the 4th Armored Division, drawing German forces away from Patton's advance. They drove fake tanks through towns, with actors posing as MPs directing traffic. Locals, in on the ruse, played along. The Germans bombed the fake positions, wasting resources. But the unit's work was risky. In Operation Kodachrome, they posed as the 65th Infantry Division, using colorful decoys to attract attention. The deception worked, but the constant threat of discovery added tension. Their motto, "Deception is the art of war," encapsulated their mission, but the psychological toll was high, living a lie in enemy territory. The Ghost Army's impact was immense. They are credited with saving 15,000 to 30,000 Allied lives by diverting enemy forces. General Eisenhower praised them, but their story remained classified. Why? Perhaps to protect sources, or because their tactics were still useful in the Cold War. Post-war silence and revelation. After VE Day in 1945, the Ghost Army was disbanded, its members sworn to secrecy. They returned to civilian life, their contributions unknown. Blass became a fashion designer, Kelly an artist, but they couldn't share their war stories. The unit's records were sealed, buried in Pentagon archives. The mystery deepened with the 1996 declassification. Books like The Ghost Army of World War II by Rick Beyer and a PBS documentary revealed their exploits. Survivors, now elderly, shared tales of inflatable tanks deflating under artillery or actors impersonating generals in bars to spread disinformation. But questions linger. How advanced were their deceptions? Did they use early holograms or other tech? Some veterans hinted at classified aspects, like psychological operations influencing enemy morale. The unit's insignia, a ghost with a paintbrush, symbolizes their artistry, but their full story may still be hidden. The Ghost Army's legacy is one of creativity in warfare, influencing modern deception tactics in conflicts like Desert Storm. It reminds us that wars are won not just with bullets, but with brains. The enigma of the Ghost Army invites us to reflect on the power of illusion and the unsung heroes who wield it. It challenges us to question what other secrets lie hidden in the annals of war. The mystery of the Ghost Army endures, a story that blends art and artifice, reminding us that sometimes the greatest weapons are those that deceive the eye. The disappearance of Glenn Miller, the band leader lost in the fog of war. Imagine a foggy December day in 1944 as a small plane takes off from an English airfield, carrying one of America's most beloved musicians into the unknown. This is the story of Glenn Miller, the king of swing whose trombone and big band sound defined an era, only to vanish without a trace over the English Channel. Miller, at the height of his fame, had joined the U.S. Army Air Forces to entertain the troops. But on December 15th, 1944, his flight from Bedford to Paris disappeared, leaving behind one of World War II's most enduring mysteries. Was it a tragic accident, a hidden assassination, or something more sinister? And why, after decades of searches, has no wreckage ever been found? Let us journey back to a time of swing music and global conflict to uncover an enigma that has puzzled historians, fans, and conspiracy theorists alike. The rise of a musical legend. Alton Glenn Miller was born on March the 1st, 1904, in Clarinda, Iowa, into a modest family. From a young age, he was drawn to music, learning the trombone, and forming his first band in high school. After dropping out of college to pursue his passion, Miller honed his skills as a trombonist and arranger in various orchestras during the 1920s and 1930s. But it was in 1938 that he formed the Glenn Miller Orchestra, blending smooth melodies with a distinctive clarinet-led sound that would become the hallmark of the swing era. Hits like In the Mood, Moonlight Serenade, and Chattanooga Choo Choo catapulted Miller to stardom. His band sold millions of records, performed to packed houses, and dominated the airwaves. Miller's music was the soundtrack of America during the Great Depression, offering escape and joy in hard times. By 1942, at the peak of his career, Miller was earning $20,000 a week, a fortune in those days. But as World War II raged, he felt a calling to serve. At 38, too old for the draft, he volunteered for the Army, commissioning as a captain in the Army Air Forces. Miller formed the Army Air Force Band, touring to boost morale. His broadcasts reached millions, his music a reminder of home for soldiers abroad. In 1944, he was promoted to major and transferred to England to perform for Allied troops in Europe. His concerts were legendary, drawing huge crowds. But on December 15th, 1944, Miller boarded a small Norseman plane at RAF Twinwood Farm in Bedfordshire, bound for Paris to prepare for a Christmas show. The pilot, John Morgan, and a passenger, Lieutenant Colonel Norman Basel, accompanied him. The plane took off into thick fog and was never seen again. The mysterious flight and immediate aftermath. The flight was unauthorized. Miller hitched a ride on a military transport to beat bad weather grounding commercial flights. The Norseman, a single-engine bush plane, was not ideal for the channel crossing, especially in fog. It departed at 1:45 p.m., but never arrived in Paris. No distress call was sent, no wreckage spotted. The U.S. Army launched a search, but found nothing. Miller was declared missing in action on December 24th, 1944, his death presumed. The official report cited weather. Freezing conditions may have iced the carburetor, causing engine failure. But doubts emerged immediately. The plane was seen by a RAF bomber crew dumping fuel over the channel, perhaps indicating trouble. A fisherman reported seeing a plane ditch near the English coast, but no concrete evidence surfaced. Miller's disappearance shocked the world. His band played on without him, but the magic was gone. His wife Helen received his belongings, but no closure. The lack of wreckage fueled speculation. Was it accident or something more? Theories and conspiracies. Theories about Miller's fate abound. The most accepted is carburetor icing. The Norseman was prone to it in cold weather. The plane likely crashed into the channel, its wreckage lost to the depths. But why no debris? The channel's currents are strong, and searches were limited by war. A more dramatic theory is friendly fire. Lancaster bomber pilot Victor Gregory claimed his plane, returning from an aborted mission, jettisoned bombs over the channel, accidentally hitting a small plane below. Logs confirm bombs were dropped at 3 p.m. near Miller's route. But the RAF denied it, and no explosion was reported. Conspiracy theories suggest foul play. Miller's anti-segregation stance, he integrated his band, may have made enemies, or his morale-boosting role hid espionage. Some claim he was on a secret mission to negotiate with German officers disillusioned with Hitler, but was shot down. A 1986 book alleged he died in a Paris brothel from a heart attack. The plane crash a cover-up to avoid scandal. But his brother Herb dismissed it as nonsense. Another theory ties it to organized crime. Miller's band played mob-owned clubs, and he may have owed debts. But this lacks evidence. The Bermuda Triangle connection is spurious. His flight was over the channel, not the Atlantic. Recent investigations keep the mystery alive. In 1987, a UK team searched the channel floor but found nothing. In 2019, Tigar proposed a new search using sonar, but no updates. The absence of wreckage suggests the plane may have disintegrated or sunk intact. A musical legacy and enduring enigma. Glenn Miller's disappearance didn't dim his legacy. His music defined the big band era, with over 800 recordings and 16 #1 hits. Songs like In the Mood remain classics, evoking nostalgia for a bygone age. His band continued under others, but the magic was gone. In 1945, the film The Glenn Miller Story, starring James Stewart, immortalized him, winning an Oscar for sound. But the mystery of his fate persists. In 1953, a German journalist claimed Miller was murdered in Paris by a prostitute, the plane crash a cover-up. The U.S. Army denied it. In 1985, a former pilot said Miller's plane was hit by bombs from his bomber, but timings don't match. Miller's story is a reminder that even in war's vast canvas, individual losses leave lasting voids. It invites speculation about fate's cruel twists and the unknown's allure. The enigma of Glenn Miller's disappearance endures, a melody unfinished, a mystery that plays on in our imaginations. Rudolf Hess's flight to Scotland, the Nazi leader's mysterious mission. Imagine a lone Messerschmitt F-110 slicing through the darkening skies over the North Sea on May 10th of 1941, its pilot a high-ranking Nazi official defying orders to embark on a solo flight into enemy territory. This is the story of Rudolf Hess, Adolf Hitler's deputy and one of the Third Reich's most enigmatic figures, who parachuted into Scotland on a mission shrouded in secrecy. Hess, once Hitler's closest confidant, claimed he came to negotiate peace with Britain, but his actions sparked one of World War II's greatest mysteries. Was it a sanctioned diplomatic gambit, a desperate act of a madman, or part of a larger conspiracy? Why did Hitler denounce him as insane, and what really happened during his 46 years of imprisonment? Let us journey back to the tense days of 1941, when the world was at war, to uncover an enigma that has puzzled historians, spies, and conspiracy theorists for over 80 years. The man behind the mission, Rudolf Walter. Richard Hess was born on April 26, 1894, in Alexandria, Egypt, to a wealthy German merchant family. Raised in a strict household, Hess developed a fervent nationalism early on. He served in World War I as an infantryman and later as a pilot, earning the Iron Cross for bravery. The war's end and Germany's defeat left him bitter, fueling his attraction to the nascent Nazi Party. Hess met Adolf Hitler in 1920, becoming one of his earliest followers. He participated in the 1923 beer hall putsch, sharing a prison cell with Hitler in Landsberg, where he helped transcribe Mein Kampf. Hess's loyalty earned him the position of Hitler's private secretary and, in 1933, deputy Führer. As Hitler's right-hand man, Hess was instrumental in the Nazi rise to power, signing laws like the Nuremberg race laws that paved the way for the Holocaust. But by 1941, as World War II raged, Hess's influence waned. Hitler increasingly relied on others, like Hermann Göring and Heinrich Himmler, leaving Hess sidelined. The war was not going as planned. Britain's defiance in the Battle of Britain had thwarted invasion plans, and Hitler turned east toward the Soviet Union. Hess, a staunch Anglophile who believed in an Anglo-German alliance against Bolshevism, grew disillusioned. He confided in associates about negotiating peace with Britain. But was this his idea or Hitler's secret directive? Hess began flight training in secret, logging hours in a Messerschmitt Bf 110. On May 10, 1941, he took off from Augsburg, flying solo toward Scotland, carrying a proposal for peace. What compelled him to risk everything? Was it loyalty to Hitler or a bid to regain favor? The daring flight and dramatic capture. Hess's flight was meticulously planned. He modified his plane for long-range travel, adding extra fuel tanks, and chose a route to avoid detection. Departing at 5:45 p.m., he flew northwest, navigating by landmarks and radio beacons. As he crossed the North Sea, RAF radars detected him, but mistook the plane for a stray. Hess aimed for Dungavel House, the estate of the Duke of Hamilton, whom he believed was sympathetic to peace talks. But things went awry. Running low on fuel, Hess parachuted from his crashing plane near Eaglesham, Scotland, at 11:06 p.m. He landed awkwardly, injuring his ankle, and was captured by a local farmer armed with a pitchfork. Hess identified himself as Alfred Horn and demanded to see the Duke of Hamilton. Taken to a hospital, then to the Tower of London, he revealed his identity and mission: to negotiate peace between Germany and Britain, excluding Churchill, whom he saw as a warmonger. British intelligence was stunned. Hess claimed he acted alone, but Prime Minister Winston Churchill treated him as a prisoner of war. Hitler, upon learning of the flight, denounced Hess as mad, ordering his name erased from records. But was this a cover? Some believe Hitler authorized the mission as a back channel to sue for peace before invading the Soviet Union. Declassified documents show Hess had met with pro-peace British figures before the war. Others suggest Hess was lured by British intelligence in Operation Mistletoe, a deception to sow discord in Nazi ranks. Hess's mental state adds intrigue. During imprisonment, he exhibited paranoia, fearing poison, and attempted suicide twice. Was he truly mad or feigning to avoid interrogation? Psychiatric evaluations diagnosed paranoid schizophrenia, but some believe it was an act. His 1946 Nuremberg trial sentenced him to life imprisonment, where he remained the sole inmate in Spandau prison from 1966 until his death in 1987. The final enigma and conspiracy theories. Hess's death at 93 is shrouded in mystery. On August 17, 1987, he was found hanged in a summer house in Spandau's garden, ruled a suicide, but his son, Wolf Rudiger Hess, claimed murder, citing his father's arthritis, making self-hanging impossible. Autopsies showed strangulation marks inconsistent with hanging. Conspiracy theories suggest British intelligence killed him to close Spandau, costly to maintain for one prisoner. A stay-behind networks or Cold War remnants may have silenced him to prevent revelations. Declassified files in 2017 revealed British fears of Hess's release on humanitarian grounds, potentially embarrassing if he spoke, but no evidence of murder surfaced. Hess's grave was destroyed in 2011 to prevent neo-Nazi pilgrimages. The mystery of Hess's flight endures. Was it a peace mission, a defection, or a mental break? Captured documents show Hess believed in astrology and occult, influenced by Hitler's inner circle. Perhaps he saw his flight as destined, or was it a ploy to mislead the Allies about Operation Barbarossa? Recent books like The Flight of Rudolf Hess by Roy Conyers Nesbitt explore the aviation aspects, concluding he flew alone. But MI5 files suggest British intelligence knew of the flight in advance, perhaps through ultra-decrypts. Did they allow it to capture Hess and demoralize Germany? These questions keep the mystery alive, a reminder that history is full of shadows where truth hides. The enigma of Rudolf Hess's flight invites us to confront the unknown, to question the narratives of war, and to wonder what other secrets lie buried in the archives of history. The mystery of Rudolf Hess endures, a story that challenges us to seek the light in the darkness of the past. As we conclude our series on unsolved mysteries of World War II, I want to thank you, dear listeners, for joining me on this journey through time and intrigue. From the shadows of secret projects to the echoes of lost heroes, we have explored the enigmas that continue to captivate our imaginations. May these stories linger in your thoughts as you drift into sleep, and may your dreams be filled with the thrill of discovery. Good night and sweet dreams.